this is something this is the first time we've kind of actually done this specific class. We're calling it ADUs and new home construction, maximizing inventory. And that's what it's really about. So, I don't have to tell you guys, obviously, more, inventory wise, whether you call it a mortgage, sorry, a shortage, housing shortage, a crisis. I don't like the word crisis. I'll call it a challenge, right? And it's not one solution probably that's going to do it. And so, in terms of new home construction, that's one way. ADUs, especially with the government, politically, a lot of incentives, a lot of laws are changing to push, the ADUs. And so it's kind of where we'll start basically, right? Then we'll kind of, we'll start with governance, real quickly, and then we'll go into Matrix and we'll show how to find inventory, how to find those properties that have been on Matrix that have existing ADUs on there, right? Especially pertaining to these new laws that we'll kind of go over here. Then we'll look at also, we'll take a look at Symbium, which is, feasibility. What about ones that, don't have one on, but maybe are thinking about, or even haven't thought about it, but, can they go ahead and do it? So we'll look at the Symbium site as well, and then go into New Home Source Pro, which is our MLS companion, they call it, for new home construction. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, especially with conversational, right? These are, having conversations with potential for both buyers and sellers. Obviously, buyers, looking, especially new home buyers, and buyers that maybe have been beat up over the last few years and have kind of out of the game, maybe get them back in. So great opportunity there. And of course, for sellers, a great opportunity as well, especially with these new laws, right? So just taking a look at kind of these new laws, and I'll tell you, I'm not an expert on ADU laws, and that's the hard part about it is there's so many multiple, municipalities, and everyone's got different laws. That's been kind of the problem with ADUs. The number one kind of obstruction to ADUs is red tape, right? And there's always been a lot of that. And so you can kind of see the government is trying to, especially with their ambitious goals, to kind of really do away with some of that red tape and kind of make it a yes instead of a no for a lot of at the local level, right? So homeowners, developers, investors, you can see how they benefit, right? And of course, first off, in terms of ADUs, increasing the property value, right? Additional living space of the property. The second one, allowing for multi-generational living where families live together but maintain their independence. We did a talk with actually like a podcast with a company called Inspired ADUs, and it's one that the good people over at Symbium that we're friends with here, we'll take a look at in a second, kind of introduced us. And they were mentioning one of the main things they're seeing, or they had seen, is that exactly. Look, the grandmother or the mother, some kind of family, that especially the kids coming out of college young, where it's just keeping the family together, having a chance for them right on that parcel. So multi-generational living. And finally, providing rental income, right? Great source of renting income for the ADUs, right? And this now even greater is, some of these new laws that have come into place in 2024. And number one being this AB 1033, right? Separate sale of ADUs. And so essentially it's removing that state level restriction, right, on selling ADUs. And this all started a couple of years back with, I think, SB 9, and not to throw out too many rules and regulations, but this is a big deal because it will allow, right, for the selling of an ADU, right? It's kind of like doing as a condominium, treating it as a condo, right, and selling it. So you could sell it separate from the main residence. And that's kind of where we're going right now with some of these laws, you can see. So, San Jose adopted this ordinance, you can see in June of 2024. But so far, it's not widely adopted, but I think we're going to see a lot more cities adopt this as they're going forward, especially with all the incentives and the pressure of the government to get this done, and to start streamlining the process. Talking about San Jose, I'll show you in a second, some numbers on San Jose and on the ADU, in terms of issuing new permits, new building, right? And just kind of where that's been going over the last few years. And just really quick on some of these, another one here, like I said, streamlining the process. So this one, AB 1330, another one, they're going to go ahead and within 30 days require it to be basically approved. And so, like I said, the time frame, red tape, in order for, this whole thing to work, they've got to cut that down. And so you have companies like Symbium, I mentioned, show you they're partnering with cities. Like they just partnered with Saratoga about permitting and instant permitting imagining, and that's the kind of what that future they think at least holds, is imagining going in and getting approved right away for a project and those kind of things, or to build an ADU without having to go through all the red tape, and being able to help your clients actually do that, right? So the intent, right, is to simplify the approval process and make it easier to build these things, right? Conclusion on just this quick one here in terms of governance, right? So, all these laws effective in 2024, you're going to see them really start to pay off, I think, as we go forward in 2025. But just a great way to add, additional housing. And I think it's a great way, to have a conversation with, buyers and sellers. Maybe they're not aware of some of these new rules. And so we're going to kind of take a look at kind of maybe how to go ahead and go at those guys. So right here, this is San Jose. Got this off right at the Council of Silicon Valley San Jose site. And actually, it's kind of cool. It shows you here the ADUs. These are the permits, the applications submitted, the permits issued. And you can see here, going through here this year, what's going on. And so a lot of the, permits have been issued this year. You can see here, kind of the numbers. Here's 2024, and you can see we're already past pre-level, so those have been going up, up, and up, right? So I anticipate that trend probably to continue, as especially as more of these laws are loosened and more incentives are out there to build these ADUs, right, for homeowners. So you can see that. Not only that, but the size of the square foot of the ADUs. You can see here. So, obviously they also, one of the things I believe is they've increased you can now go 2 stories on ADUs, and you can actually increase the size of everything up to 1,200 square feet. And so you can see up here in the top, as the hover will actually tell you. So these guys in the red are the square footage greater than 700, and you can see as the last few years it's grown and grown and grown here, where getting bigger and bigger square footages, especially with these laws and the permits that are allowed. So I thought it was kind of interesting looking at those kind of numbers here to see kind of maybe gauge what's going to happen, kind of going on in these next couple of years here. So first thing I want to do here is let's jump into Matrix, because there is a way we can actually search what's kind of been on, what's been on the market, what houses, what properties have ADUs already existing, right? And so one way we can do it here, I'm just going to go to a Matrix search here. Let's do a residential search. And of course, now I could search for active listings, right? If I had a potential buyer and hey, what's out there, and I could search active doing this. Also, what I was going to kind of focus on here is, how to kind of go out and maybe prospect, how to go after some of these, potential opportunities out there. But I could go ahead, I could look for, houses that have sold in the last few years, maybe a couple years back that had ADUs. I could look for actives that right now are on the market. Or I could even look at, expireds, and cancels, things that have been on the market maybe a few years back that had ADUs. And now all of a sudden, we've got this opportunity with these new laws that we can go ahead and sell that ADU and, obviously rent it out, build these things bigger, better. And so maybe I'm going to ask for expireds and cancels. And for the off market, how about, just maybe I'll just start with like the last 2 years, right? So last 2 years, I'm just going to zero minus. Now, obviously, I could go a lot farther back than 2 years. Probably want to, if I wanted a big data set, to see, ones that have been on 3, 4, 5 years ago that might now all be opportunities, and I can send something to those homeowners. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. Leave it at 720, and I'll go with a county. I'll just do the whole county, get kind of a canvas here. So I'll just do Santa Clara County. I could obviously do it by city, Los Gatos, San Jose, whatever you wanted to do. But let's go ahead and start with that. Now, you notice I've got 2,500 plus right now, because I haven't given it the key command. And that's these additional fields at the bottom here. So if you haven't used additional fields before, we have about 650 of them. You can see on my screen, I've already added these. So this is why I have these on here. Property condition, other rooms, parking. And these are essentially filters, right? So they're all just filters. So I might have, if I have a client, who the mother's there, has to have the main floor on the main bedroom's got to be on the first floor. It can't be on the second. Those kind of things. Or maybe I'm looking for a fixer-upper here or a workshop. I've got to have a workshop. That was a big thing in COVID. A lot of times, I had agents call me and say, hey, they're looking for something that's got a workshop. They need it in the garage or wherever. So these filters really help. Now, keep in mind that these are only as good unless they're a required field. A lot of times they're only good as the listing agent. So we always hope and we tell agents be very thorough because agents will use these filters, and property faces, if I'm facing, south or whatever, I get, burn it by the sun if I'm ever, so, and obviously certain cultures I need to face, certain ways. So we have all these, not all of them are mandatory. So keep that in mind if you're using them, that you might not be getting all the data, right? But in terms of ADUs, we have one here. And you can see down below, I've already added it here, secondary living space, right? In addition to that, so we can say, hey, I want ADUs and, guest house, obviously a lot of times kind of the same thing. It's secondary living space square footage as well. So if I wanted to say, hey, I need an ADU, but I need that ADU over, 500 square feet or over 700, whatever, or a range 600 to 1200, whatever, I can do that as well here. Now, first thing is, how do I add these things, right? So obviously, you're not going to see all these on your screen unless you've already added some. I've got a lot on here, and you can see there's a lot of ways you can filter data, right, for advanced searching. But all you have to do is hit that Add Remove button right here, right? Click that Add Remove button, and here is the available fields, right? I said we got a lot of them. We do. But pretty much every single field that's in our listing management is going to be available to filter, just to let you know. And so here's the ones I've got, right? And so, I could always move maybe certain ones up if I use them a lot, maybe put them to the top, just so it makes it easier. But all I have to do is search, right? And so, search for ADU, that kind of a thing. Actually, there we go, ADU, secondary living space, right? And so once I can do that, I can just add them like I did. Secondary living space, square footage. So I'll show you a little Easter egg in a second as well, because part of the problem with doing this is, like, I added fixer uppers and things like that, right? And a lot of it is, how do you know where that's at? Because fixer uppers under property condition. There's no real way to search. It's only, other than this search, it's not a real way. And that search, if I type in, fixer, I don't even think it comes up with anything. It doesn't, right? I would have to know property condition. So, just a quick Easter egg is, if you go in to, if you actually go into here, your listings, manage listings, right? Just our listing management, pop in real quick here. Okay. And just, go in, edit listing here. Here we are. And I can just go right on in and use this keyword search right here. So use that keyword search, type in, whatever, ADU, right? And now all of a sudden, there it is. So now I know that's right where that field is, living space. I click on it, it'll take me there. And I can figure out, okay, that's what I need to search by, right? To get that ADU, living space, and that, right, those two fields on there, add them to my additional fields. So just go ahead and select those and then hit the back button. And again, you can move any of these up and down really easily. I'm going to hit that back button, and let's see here. So let's go ahead and choose some of these. Now, when I choose them, I'm going to select ADU, and I'm going to do guest house. But make sure you've got, if you do more than one, make sure you've got that or. Don't do and, and, because if you do and, then they got to have both. It's going to throw a wrench in there. You're going to get 0, right? But this way, I'll get some, and you can see here, I've got 244 right now. We can go to the map here, go to the results. Let's go to the map first, just take a quick peek, so we can see, where those are. You notice that with these, since I'm doing canceled and expireds here, I just was looking for ones that have been on the market. Again, I could have done solds and other ones. There's a lot of ways we can search it, but the ones that are, I'm practically colorblind, so this is tough. But I think this color right here is expireds, and this color right here is canceled. So just to let you know, so I can see the map here. First thing I want to go is to the results. So let's go to the results here. And what you might want to do here is go ahead and put in, create yourself a custom display for these, right? So if we are doing a specialized search for, ADUs here, it would make sense, right, to go ahead and insert a couple columns. So let's insert a column, and I'll just type in that secondary. There it is, secondary living space, and I'll do the description as well here and hit apply, right? And so now I got, basically what it is, ADU or guest house, right? And I'm just gonna move that over here. Um, and there's the square footage right here, right? And so I can clean that up. So now I've got the square footage. I might want to even add, more columns to it, but I can go ahead and save it right here. Just go ahead and click, actually not that guy, sorry, right here, manage display, click that guy and just give it a name. And so maybe I'll call this ADU, right? Hit save as a copy here. There we go. And so now, anytime I want it, right here in my display, I could do a search, and with the ADUs, and then all I have to do is anything with this word "my" is ones I've created. I just select the word "my," and then I'd have this display. And that way, if I export it as well, you can see here, if I go ahead and choose them all, and I want to hit that export button, I can go ahead and it will export them as well, right? Even if I didn't have the results, if I wasn't even looking at it in that view, it would still have this option for ADU, and I still could export it and get those fields, even if I wasn't even looking at those fields. Just to let you know. So it's in there, it's nice and knows, and I can go and export it. So I'm going to hit the back button here. Let's go to a map here. So now these represent, right? These listings all represent now properties that have an existing ADU, and I could tinker with, how, what the square footage is if I need it, a certain way, or just, basically I want homeowners that have got that one. I could also go ahead and from here, if I wanted to cut out, anything here, use your cutting tools. Maybe if I wanted to focus on a certain, area that's got a bunch, I could go ahead and do that. Cut it out here, just boom, 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 and focus on a certain area, right? Here we go. Um, and then naturally, when I cut that out and I go to results, now I'm just seeing, obviously those guys. Now, one thing we got in the process of doing here, because what I wanted to do is create labels. I actually wanted to, hey, I want to go ahead and send, these, whatever list I have, of properties that are out there. These homeowners have ADUs, right? And maybe I want to send a flyer out to them, just maybe, talking about some of the new, improvements of the laws, a little bit of governance with a little bit of how do you know, and hey, how to start that conversation, about renting, about selling, and so what I was hoping to do is get those, is basically I'll go in here into search, is in public records here. So I'm gonna go down here, search to public records. And what I was hoping to do here, and so this is kind of in the works, but I think we're going to be able to get this done pretty quickly. I've got a request out to our Matrix guru, Jeffrey Lambrex. And so if you notice here, if you haven't used this, this is Realist tax data. We've got it right in Matrix. So you could go to Realist, or you could do it right from here, not even have to leave Matrix, right? And I could go down here. And so one of the things we've asked is hopefully very soon, and I'll let you know as soon as it's done, is with these additional fields. But look, these additional fields here, I just learned they don't have what I need, which is that secondary living space. Because if I had that, then I could just pull up all the homes out there, right? That not necessarily have been on the MLS, but are just out there in whatever area I choose, and I could have those ones come up, and right, and then I could print labels. So that's kind of the hope that what we're going to do right now. You'd have to just basically use those search results that you had in Matrix, and you've got the address, of course. You can export that data. You've got information about what kind of ADU they have. But going forward, hopefully we're going to have this so that you could come in here, and I'll just give you like a little example here. Is go in here. I'll just use how about a map search here, and we'll just pop in an address in San Jose here. Jose. Okay. And so you can see here, and as I zoom in, this is every parcel out there, right? And so if I could go ahead and filter, right, which is the goal, coming soon, right? just like I did using that matrix search, then a lot of these would go away. I would only show me the ones in whatever area I choose that had the ADU. And then what I could do, I'll just as an example here, I'll just draw maybe a radius here. Let's just say, use my little cutting tool, and we'll draw a radius. And this is what I love about, all this data right here. You don't even have to leave matrix. So you can see here, I just want to cut out a little area there. All right, so those represent just off-market homes, right? And I can go to my results, and what you can do here is select them all, right? I'll select them all, and under print right here, you can click print, and then here's all the labels. So all you'll have to do is buy that label 5160. It's the Avery. It's like one of the most popular ones, and then print out these labels. And in this case, who am I going for? Well, I'm going to do the I would want to do the tax address. I'm looking for the homeowner. So there's a chance that they're renting out properties or over wherever. So I'm going to use, instead of the property address, I'm going to use the tax address. And all we have to do is hit print to PDF, and then we would have these nice labels here where we could go ahead and slap on some material and start talking about and this is to the current resident. Actually, I could have, sorry about that, I could have put the homeowner on there with their name, but start sitting out there and start having that conversation with a lot of people out there that have ADUs, right, that maybe are already built or maybe they're not built. If they are built, great. Hey, do they know about all this these opportunities? If they're not built, maybe talk about some of these laws. Maybe they're thinking about building and improving their property value, and renting it out or selling it under the new law. I'm going to close this down here. Another thing you might, you could do here in lieu of that here is if I was cutting out, here we are, back to my results. One of the ways you could do is under the criteria, especially if you're looking for, okay, feasibility, hey, is the lot size. Maybe I search and under characteristics here, I'll say maybe I need a certain lot size, there we are, lot size. So maybe I target the bigger lots in neighborhoods that probably would be able to fit an ADU rather than a smaller lot. I could, say 10,000 plus or whatever I want to do. Just put a plus in there and then go into these neighborhood search, pull out all the homeowners. I can print those labels and I can start sending my material to them, right? So a lot of opportunity out there, right? You can search just matrix using those additional fields, right? That's going to show you whether it's active you're looking for, previously sold, or just ones that were on the market one day and, canceled or expired, came off the market, and maybe never actually, looked at, the whole ADU part of it. Now, what about feasibility? So feasibility here, let me go back here real quick to that search we did here. I guess any listing really would do. Okay, I'm just going to pull one up here that's got an ADU. Alrighty. Now, I mentioned Symbium earlier. So Symbium right here is on every single listing. Every single sold listing is going to have that on there. And so once they go in, actually, I think it's every listing. Yeah, it's going to have Symbium ADU options on here, right? So Symbium, we met them actually because a realtor that does a lot of ADU business, I believe, was in San Mateo, and came to us and said, "Hey, you guys, there's no way to, really pull data on ADUs in your system." And I showed him the third party, just like we did the additional filters that they can use to pull it. But he introduced us to Symbium, and there's some local Stanford, geniuses basically. And so they put this together. I'll just click on it. And so Symbium really focuses on the feasibility of it all. Can you put an ADU? So here's that listing, the property right there, right? So I'm going to actually search a property here. I'm going to go and search one here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to do one in Saratoga. Okay, there it is. It's going to find it for me. Alrighty. So, it gives you this kind of cool first off view here, which you can go ahead if you want a satellite view, to take a look. Hey, what does that lot look like? Right? We can take a look at it. Also there, though, they've got the 3D view. So if I wanted to go ahead and see, take a look at this parcel, same with, the dimensions, the height, that kind of thing, uh, I can do that. But really the meat and potatoes are over here. So you can see here, allowed uses. There we are, the ADUs right here. So I'm going to click on that. Before I click on that, you can see though they've got some other information on here, in terms of what kind of zoning and general stuff here, permit records if there's any recent ones you can see here. And so that's kind of another thing they're going into. I mentioned they've just signed with Saratoga, actually, so it's kind of a good example on basically getting instant permitting, right, for solar panels and these things. And that's where it's really going in the next couple of years. You got these companies like Symbium who are working with the municipalities, working with the cities, right, to go ahead so that they can go ahead and have a site that they can get this up, that they can streamline it, and they can get rid of all this red tape, right? But the best way to describe Symbium, if you haven't used them before, is they kind of describe themselves as TurboTax for ADUs. So they use what's called a comp law. Basically, they plug in all the laws and everything into it, and they can tell you a lot most of the time, if it's feasible to go ahead and have an ADU on the property. So you can see right here. I'll click on that, and it's going to go ahead and pop on up. So there's the parcel right here, right? And so I could go ahead and, first off, let's go ahead and sketch. So first off, it's right here. It says California law allows an ADU here. So fantastic, right? So let's see. I'm going to sketch an ADU. I'll click on that. And you can see I can go ahead, and this is kind of a nice way to kind of visually, I'm a visual person, so I always like to visually see it. But you can see the parcel. Here's my ADU, right? And you can see here, as it changes colors, right? So, and it gives me also, some of the potential problems, right? Too close to the property line, or it'll tell you, you need a certain distance. And so sometimes it will go ahead, red. Sometimes you'll get the green light. Sometimes it's going to tell you, hey, you're going to need a little more info. So go ahead and you're going to need to call the city planner. You're going to need to call the city. But right here to the left here, you can see here, I should also mention I can go ahead and use this so I can adjust it anyway, and see what works. To the left here, this little guy right here is only a 288 square feet. I need bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust that. Let's go ahead and adjust that square footage up there. You can see here I can adjust that however I want, right? And then go ahead and reposition here. Below that, as I do that, right, as I adjust my square footage on these guys, you can see it's giving me an estimated cost on there for the construction site, finished quality here, and so it's kind of giving me some basic numbers, right, and on all this guy here. So they do have an ADU report as well, which I can click on here. And so if I click on an ADU report, and this might be something where, hey, maybe you put into some listing presentations, if maybe there's a possibility to improve the value, differentiating yourselves nowadays, obviously as agents, and really standing out. And ADUs, could be that possibility here. So you can see here, just kind of a general ADU report. And it goes into some of the numbers here, right? What's allowed, what we've got there, and then starting to go what design we chose. I didn't actually choose an actual design. I could have chose that and put that in this, but what the cost would be for that square footage, and then it starts going into cost of the materials and all these good stuff, and just kind of educating, what the procedure is going to be and what they got to look forward to, timeline and everything in terms of the next steps, and all this good stuff. So you can always generate that report, take what you like from it, and so just download that report right here. But you can see the designs right here. I'm going to click on designs, and so you can see here they have obviously approved builders, right? That they use, and so they have approved builders with different designs, right? See all these guys here. I know. Obviously, I mentioned Inspired ADUs is one of the ones that we've kind of were impressed with, but some of these are prefab ADUs and all types of different stuff. I think I saw where was it here? The Inspired ADU one in here. Oh, Cal Design. Maybe I missed it here. Oh, there we are. The modular Millie. there's one of them here, a design that they have here. So again, I could click on it here and choose that one. and it kind of shows you what each of them will show you what kind of the design looks like, and the floor plan and so forth, right? Now, let's see here. Oh, they also have if you want to contact that vendor, you contact vendor, you can go ahead and give them a call and talk to them. Just talking about, in terms of the inspired ADUs, talking with their architects, they're really, were impressive. And in these ADUs, let me go ahead and show you. Here's Inspired ADU's website, just to take a look at some of their portfolio. And so you can see, these are. I think there's sometimes a stigma to ADUs, right? Everybody wants that be a new homeowner, and I want a home, and so there's kind of that stigma. I don't want a tiny home, but you can see these are kind of like, they do kind of like cottages and things that are really nice. And so again, for me, I'm a visual person. I think if you're talking to potential clients, I think showing them kind of the scope of what can be done here. Some of these are really beautiful work that they do. And there's other builders you can take a look at, obviously, but just to show them some of these, what kind of designs that they have. You can see right up the top here, if you want to actually look at their plans, they've got their plans. And you can see here, so plans, panels, prefab, right? And you can see all these guys here. We could filter it, but all these different types of plans here that they've got for different ones. So if you could reach out to these, to them, they're very nice. If you want, send us an email, and we'll I'll give you the contact info for their lead architect. I'm sure they love to talk to you. But a fantastic site here, and I think it just kind of shows kind of what obviously what they can do here nowadays, especially now that these restrictions are kind of loosening, and you can build bigger ones, 2-story ones. Another thing to think about also is in terms of electrification. Oh, I actually said the word. I always have such a problem with that word. But that's another thing on the horizon. I think the goal is 2035 clean energy, 100%. And so a lot of these ADUs are built for water and heat is all a new electric technology, all electric technology, and that's something to think about because part of the thing that's coming up now, a lot of homeowners are going to have to start when that water heater blows or whatever, they're not going to be allowed anymore to you're going to have to upgrade to some of these new things. And so these go ahead, and you're kind of ahead of the game when you build one of these guys. So I was impressed with their with what they got here. So kind of ADUs. Let's also look at another thing is new home construction. Let's take a quick look here. Let's go into, I'm going to go into new home source. I'm going to search up top, new home source pro right here. I probably should have that added to my little speed bar right here, make it easy. But new home source pro, let's click on that guy. And so you can see your MLS companion for new home construction. That's exactly what they are, right? So obviously we would love to get more new home construction on our site. It just doesn't happen, the way that the model works. And so a lot of times they might put one on our, might put one kind of like a model on our site, or one that they've got, completed. But after that, the rest of them aren't listed on our site usually. So this site is, New Home Source Professional. They work directly with the builders. They have agreements with all the builders. And so let's go and do a search here. Los Gatos. So you can go ahead, obviously, Los Gatos. And so I could go ahead. I could also, if I wanted to set the, price, beds, baths, whatever, and do all that. One of the things you see a little note here, and it's true, is that a lot of these new, building new home construction are buying down mortgages with the rates high, trying to go ahead, more incentives and promotions. So, definitely keep an eye out for this kind of stuff. So I think a good business opportunity. Now let's go and search it here. I'm just going to go ahead and let's see if there's anything else here. Yeah, let's search it. Boom. And you'll see, okay, in Los Gatos right here, I got these bungalows just based off my search, and I could have obviously searched, a lot of different areas. So these are over by the North 40 here. I can click on it here, and here's the actual guy right here. So it's got the photos. Obviously, if I want to contact, the sales agent, I can also contact, save it. because I can email this out, of course, to clients, as well as request to register the client. That's one of the things I know agents, what do I have to do? It's always probably a good idea, especially this post NAR implementation world, is to probably just give them a call and talk to their people. What's the deal? How do I, what do I have to do? What kind of compensation? Obviously, we can't do that on the MLS anymore, but you can request to register the client and they'll give you a call and talk to you, or just give them a call. One thing here is also social media wise. So you could go ahead, get this shareable link right here, and you could post that on Facebook, on X, whatever. And the nice thing is when you post it, when people click on it, it's going to send them back to your custom site, right? So you can create a custom site in here so that your clients get to come in there. It's branded with your branding, right? As long as you set it up here, and they can go ahead and they can do searches. I'll show you kind of a little bit of it here. So you can see right here, first thing I would do if you're coming in here is probably go to your account and do my showings my showingnew.com site. Right, so this is your kind of like the portal for Matrix, right? So I'm going to click on that guy, and you can see, so you get to customize here this guy. So this is going to be your site, right? And so you can see here, social media. I can put in my social media, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, TikTok nowadays. I got my get your headshot up there. I probably need to get an updated one. Get your logo up there, brand it, obviously, and then you get to choose the background as well. So you could have a nice, maybe create one yourself, or if you've got a nice one. I just chose one that I do the background at default, right? And you can do footer images as well. You can see up here, so details, popular searches. So you can also do what they see in the bottom right away. What searches. That way they don't have to really go looking for. They can just click on. Okay, I'll click on Mountain View, San Jose, whatever. And so you control what they see there as well, and then about me, right? And so you can see here. Maybe if you want, you can even if you got a video, you can include that link there, or maybe just they'll put in a little description, of what you're about and your professional pedigree and so forth. So first thing, go in there, do that, right? Now I'm gonna go back here. One of the things I went and just sent it, pretended I was. So I created a client here, so you can see my clients up here at the top. So I created a client. And so you can go ahead, and that does it when you do the save searches. When you send it out, right? You can go ahead and do that. So you can see you can add new clients very easily. When you send it out, this is what it looks like. So this is once you get your site up, get to the email. So I sent this one listing, right, to my fake client here, and so I can review that save listing, right? So the client can click on that. It's going to take them again to your branded site here, as long as you set it up. And so you can see my branding is up there, got my photo, got everything there, my logo, and you can see what I see here. So this is right. This is basically right. I called myself Don. This is the client view, right? And so the client can come in there and look at it, right? They can look at all the details, the photos, obviously, and they can also go ahead and you can see they can click here, and so they can go ahead and start a conversation. You can see, I love this one. I'd like to see more. Let's schedule a tour, right? You can reply back, of course, and you'll see that. And you see the heart, just like kind of Matrix. So I went ahead and hearted it, right? So that when I'm in there, confusing when I'm on both sides, but now, yes, there I am. I'm back, right? You can see here. So on my saved searches, I can see them on here. Oops, my saved listings, sorry. With my client, and I can see, so I can see and click on that messages. I'll see it there. You can also see that little number 2. So it lets me know, okay, my client's got some activity. All right, so they're actually going in there. Maybe they're doing searches. Maybe they're doing whatever. In this case, right, it shows you what they did. So they had a message they commented on, and then they also love that listing. So it's nice and easy way to communicate, give them access, your client access, see if they're serious, if they're actually, looking around. But, I think a lot of times new home construction might be a solution for, someone looking to go ahead and buy a home and, maybe just don't know anything about it. And a lot of times, I think agents don't just, provide that opportunity, don't have that info to provide when it could be a solution for a client.
Make sure to check out our Pro Support page for additional videos on a full range of topics. And don't forget to click that subscribe button on our MLS Listings YouTube page.